If you've read the book Frankenstein by Mary Shelley or watched the movie adaptation, you understand the basic premise of one man creating another man. Last year I read the book for the first time and found it fascinating, partly because of the ethical consequences of Dr. Frankenstein's creation of his monster. As the story progresses, the author skillfully raises doubts in the reader's mind about the benefits of being able to play God and create life. Sorry to spoil the ending for you, but the monster's life is tragic, and he destroys Dr. Frankenstein's world in the process, even killing his new bride on their wedding night. But what does Frankenstein have to do with pro-life issues? I believe it raises important questions about the ethical consequences of stem cell research, especially when it leads to human cloning. Should we, created beings ourselves, create new life? Right now, human beings are being created in the lab simply to be killed for their stem cells, which will be used for research to heal other people with various diseases and conditions. However, even if we have the technology to create babies, is it right for the people involved, the life created, or society in general? Most importantly, is it even appropriate to hurt one person to heal another? Let's examine three aspects of stem cell research and its implications in today's society. First, we need to understand the basic biology of stem cells to understand their controversy. Second, we will take a look at the current methods of procuring stem cells and the successes of the research involved. And lastly, we'll discuss a pro-life perspective on this issue, which allows stem cell research under certain conditions. So, what are stem cells? I wasn't exactly sure when I began to research this issue. The American Medical Association summarizes that, quote, "A stem cell is an immature cell that has the potential to become specialized into different types of cells throughout the body," end quote. An article from How Stuff Works further explains that while most cells replicate to create more of their kind of cell, stem cells are pluripotent, which means they can divide to make any one of the 220 different types of cells in the human body. Containing the earliest stem cells in the body, the human embryo, uses these cells to form every other type of tissue, organ, bone, and cell. Lastly, stem cells can self-renew, replicating themselves many times. Essentially, stem cells are amazing scientific marvels, which point to the intricacy, complexity, and perfect design of the gift of life. Another important distinction about stem cells is the difference between adult stem cells and embryonic stem cells. The American Medical Association also notes that, quote, "Embryonic stem cells are produced when a newly fertilized egg begins to divide, and adult stem cells, somewhat of a misnomer because they can also be found in infants and children, are stem cells that reside in already developed tissue. These stem cells can act like a repair system, dividing regularly to provide new specialized cells to take the place of those that die or are lost. Tissues where adult stem cells have been found include the brain, blood, muscle, skin, and bone," end quote. The difference between these two type origins of stem cells is crucial to pro-life issues and the controversy surrounding the research done using stem cells. Now that we've established a basic foundation, we can move on to discussing how stem cells are harvested and used to heal. Currently, there are a few ways to gather them for research. One source is adult stem cells, which can be extracted from a donor's tissue with minimal effect on the individual. Now, these adult cells have been highly successful and have provided healing benefits to 73 different types of diseases and conditions. For example, bone marrow stem cells have been effectively transplanted from healthy donors for 20 years. Recently, scientists have also found similar results with umbilical cord stem cells found in cords cast off from after birth. However, when you think about stem cell research, you're probably thinking about embryonic stem cell research. Even though no human patients have been treated with embryonic stem cells, the government and scientists continue to fund and push this stem cell collection method. Tragically, when the fetus's stem cells are collected, it is killed mercilessly. Many of these babies come from in vitro fertilization, but another process of creating life to destroy it is called therapeutic cloning. While the term sounds calming and healing, it's actually shocking. The McGill Journal of Medicine describes it saying, quote, "While the goal of reproductive cloning is the creation of a person, the purpose of therapeutic cloning is to generate and direct the differentiation of patient-specific cell lines isolated from an embryo not intended for transfer in utero," end quote. Just think about the implications of that statement. Embryos are created, but not intended to be born. Life is created to be destroyed for its scientific benefits, and man is attempting to play God in a disturbing way. Where will this wanton creation lead our society next? It sounds too much like Frankenstein to me. And strangely enough, embryonic stem cells have a significant rejection problem, because when they are implanted in someone's body, the patient's immune system often sees the cells as invaders and attacks them. Therefore, we need to look at other possible sources of stem cells, which continue to appear as technology improves. In 2007, induced pluripotent stem cells were created using human skin cells. These iPS cells are similar to embryonic stem cells in all respects, but their creation does not harm or kill an individual, and the possible rejection is limited. Another option is the extraction of stem cells from fetuses with no harm to them. It was first done in 2010 by extracting a single cell, and the fetus survived. With all these methods for stem cell collection available, it's hard to believe that scientists need to create and kill babies. Lastly, keeping all this in mind, I want to describe for you my pro-life position on stem cell research, and I hope you'll consider it when forming your own opinions. I believe that scientists must carefully and conscientiously consider the ethics of their work, because science without ethics begins to sound a lot like Adolf Hitler's medical experiments done in World War II concentration camps. There, innocent Jews and other political prisoners were stifled in gas chambers after being degraded below any reasonable human standards for experiments. While science points to the shameless conception and destruction of human children to harvest their stem cells, I question how killing one to heal another can be justified. However, we need to realize the potential healing power of stem cells and promote safer ways of collecting them. I support collection of adult stem cells, induced pluripotent stem cells, and stem cells from stillborn, miscarried, or unharmed children. On the other hand, we need to vocally profess our support for the children killed for the sake of research. Like abortion, these babies are denied the chance for life because they are unwanted and unable to stand up for themselves. Unfortunately, just this January, the Supreme Court refused to hear a case that requested an end to federal funding for embryonic stem cell research, and the New York Times concluded that this action, quote, put a halt to more than 3 years of turmoil that drove some scientists away from such research because of uncertainty about its legality and questions about continued federal funding, end quote. We cannot ignore the cries of these children, and we must pressure our government to stop funding embryonic stem cell research, because it will continue unless we act. In conclusion, I strongly urge you to research this issue further and get involved in stopping embryonic research. As our society normalizes the killing of its children, it edges closer and closer to the disaster caused by men attempting to be gods, creating life and destroying it without thinking twice. We who believe in the right to life for human beings must have the duty to protect